Hi, this is Paul Konkowski with the Systems Conference. I'm here with Brad Randall, and we're going to be talking about what he's going to be speaking on, some things about the Systems Conference. Really excited to have Brad Randall speaking at our event. I've heard Brad Randall speak at NARPM. I've heard him speak at Brad Larson's event. He spoke at quite a bit of events, and we're just really excited to have him going to be speaking at the Systems Conference. Brad, welcome.
Thanks, Paul. Excited to be here.
Brad, where's your property management company based?
We are based in the Salt Lake City area in Utah. We cover 3 or 4 counties out in Salt Lake City area.
And I can tell you from personal experience what an amazing company he does, because I am not only a friend of Brad's, I am a client. He is managing my property out there. So his team does amazing job.
We're happy to do it. It's high pressure when it's a well-known person in the industry that hires you. So hopefully we don't blow it.
You guys do an amazing job. I mean, I had a tenant who wasn't paying, and I was having to deal with it, and they've got it straightened out. They didn't put that tenant in. It wasn't on their fault. That would have been on me. But they took over and have just been doing an amazing job. Again, it's always those people that think they know more than the property management companies and self-managing. I did have the software and everything, but I'm glad that it's now managed by you. How many properties do you currently manage?
So our portfolio, we have about 425 doors, single family, small multifamily. Our multifamily is mostly 2 to 8 units, but we do manage a 38 unit complex right now. And then we also manage HOAs. So we have about 4,200 doors, 60 communities in association management as well.
Awesome. So that kind of goes into what you're going to be speaking on, one of those things. But have you attended this conference in the past?
No, this will be my first time. So I'm honored to present and to speak, but I'm more honored to come and learn, because I have heard rave reviews about the networking and just the learning that happens. So I'm coming seeking to learn, just like everybody else is seeking.
Yeah, and you had a anniversary trip, I believe, last year is why you could not come, because you were coming last year, and
yes.
Then it's either my wife or the conference, and like a smart man, you chose your wife.
Yes, I couldn't. I was planning on it last year, but we got it in the books really early for 2025, which is great.
So that's great. So the first thing you're going to be talking about is looking for creative ways to enhance the owner experience that will build long-term revenue. This will be on the main stage, and this is going to be about, adding revenue streams for PM companies. Like you just said, you have lots of different revenue streams that your company has, and what exactly is this talk going to be on the main stage?
So what we're going to be speaking on in the main stage is looking at the fact that I think operators across the country are kind of getting pressured, not only from a lot of low-cost leaders that are coming into the industry, but realtors that are suddenly realizing that property management is maybe a little bit more consistent and potentially profitable than what they were doing, than what they were thinking before. But as an operator, we have to be looking at how do we distinguish ourselves in our local markets? How do we continue to build value add experiences for our owners where they look at it and say, I know you're not the cheapest option out there, but I'm not hiring you because you're the cheapest. I am utilizing you because of the experience I'm having, which so much is related to systems, but also the experience that you're providing me, my tenants, and our assets. So as we're looking at what we're going to be talking about, I want to be able to help people realize that there's some low-hanging fruit that is probably available in your software or through additional systems that you can put in place to create some really long-lasting revenue streams for owners, but even more important, really enhance the owner experience and their relationship with you.
Well, and that can be seen from a client like me. I mean, I'm self-managing properties in California and Texas and other places, but in Oklahoma, I'm using a property management company in Utah. Now I'm using a property management company in Indiana. And these are all from connections I've made through NARPM, through other events, and for meeting people. I don't go for the cheapest property manager. I go for the one that I know is going to be able to get my property managed correctly. The cheapest property managers, I mean, being part of Pure and buying companies, I bought companies, and that's what scares me about hiring property managers, is because a lot of them don't have this really strong will to care about the companies they're working with. So it's like, how do you show that you care? How do you show, because owners aren't going to leave you over a little bit of money if you're doing a great job, because it's a lot of money when you have like a $20,000 tenant that can't get out or destruction of the property. So I know that everyone I've worked with in your company does a great job, but you're also adding different revenues streams for your PM companies. You're doing lots of things to enhance the owner experience all around. You have one thing called, which will be with your other day. On the other day, you're going to be working on additional ideas for complementary businesses. So this is going to be in the small group session. This will be more like a roundtable talk, like where people are talking about it. But the one thing that we were talking about before this session started, because you were talking about home watch, and I'm like, what do you like? Do you go around and, I'm thinking like, neighborhood watch, like you guys are walking around the neighborhood, like what's a home watch? And so a home watch, HOA management, broker service, third-party maintenance, all those things. But can you tell us a little bit about that talk, and then explain to us what the heck HomeWatch is?
You bet. So in the small group session, we really want to open up and facilitate a discussion regarding ancillary businesses that you can form that are complementary to what you're already doing, but can drive an additional revenue stream. Because as all of us know, property management, the way the margins work and everything like that, you're not necessarily hitting home runs out of the park every day. You kind of win by getting enough base hits that the runs start coming in the game of this business model. And so there are a lot of ancillary businesses out there between community management, short-term rentals, HOA management, maintenance businesses, title businesses. There's a lot of different directions you could go. So we're going to talk about those. And once again, I'm going to learn from the group what they're doing, what they're seeing that's working, that's not, what's the easy opportunities out there that someone could get into this upcoming year. But specifically regarding HomeWatch, I would say about 2 years ago, we started getting calls from people that found our property management company and said, we have a home, we don't want to have a tenant in there. So we want to keep it vacant, we want to keep it furnished, but we are leaving for 6 months, or we're leaving for 3 months to go ski, and then we'll be back the rest of the year. But even though people have smart cameras, internet-based software, running the lights, running all of that, there's still this question of, is my home being taken care of? And if I have something that needs to get done, who do I go to contract? So a perfect example of what HomeWatch is Paul, say you plan to go to Costa Rica to work for 8 weeks. So you plan to go to Costa Rica, but you have a house that is something that obviously you care about. It's an investment for you. You can hire a HomeWatch company to come in weekly, a couple times a month, one time, or monthly, and we can do a full visual inspection. We can check to make sure there's no major leaks, check for security. We can sort through your mail. We can do a security check for you. We can also coordinate a vendor visit for you. So say you're in Costa Rica and you say, oh, I've got this piece of equipment coming to be installed in our garage. Instead of trying to find a family member or a friend or a neighbor or something to do it, you call us and we can help coordinate it. So HomeWatch really it's similar to property management, but zero tenants, which has got to be a good thing. But you are doing a lot of things that you do in property management, which is the visual walkthroughs, coordination of vendors, and setting up a system to help provide peace of mind for somebody, whether they're away for 2 weeks or 2 years. So that's one in particular that we're going to be spending a lot more time on in that session. because a lot of people have heard sessions maybe about maintenance or HOA management, and we'll dabble in that, but we are going to spend a little bit more time on home watch because it's a newer aspect of what a lot of people are looking at.
And there's no regulations for home watch because you're not tenants. You tell the owner, hey, I'm going to charge you $50 to bring your trash cans in and out. That's a choice the owner can say yes or no. But
Exactly.
if they have a bunch of dead stuff, like, if they just threw a dead rat trap in there and then they're leaving for a year, they probably want it taken out and brought back in. So, I know that because I live in 2 locations, and sometimes I'm just like, oh crap, I forgot to do this. And then I'm always calling my neighbors and bringing them a nice bottle of wine or something like that. And, sometimes you don't want your neighbors to know, I'm gone for 3 weeks. Sometimes you just kind of want to do things on your own, and you don't want nosiness. So that's a really cool thing. You guys, I take it then, are pretty like, you pretty much do whatever they need, and it's just kind of like a concierge service almost. It's very...
Exactly. So people call it home watch, but it really is you're a property concierge, and you are there to help make sure that things are happening that need to happen for the owners. So this is definitely not something that a service that someone would probably use on like a 1-bedroom condo or something like that. It's usually a nicer home or a vacation home, but it leads to additional opportunities. You may end up with a brokerage listing or a property management contract from it. And so once again, it's a business that can fit well with what we're doing, but I think a lot of people aren't quite sure how to necessarily get started. And that's what we want to talk about, are some of these, what are the opportunities out there that don't take 50 grand to get going. You just need to kind of build the system and get it going.
And brokerage service is amazing because, I'm sure the average home watch client's house is over $1 million. I can already see them right down there at the base of where, you're going up to the mountains to go ski. All those really nice homes below, like Alta and Solitude and all that, all down there in that base area. I can see those people. They come in the winter, they come in the summer, but during mud season, they don't want to be there. What they call that rainy season before the snow comes, where it's, I think it's beautiful there, but, if they're skiers and hikers, they might not want to be there during that season.
Right, correct.
So, and mud season gets worse when you get up towards Montana. You guys don't have as bad a mud season. I heard the farther north you get, the worse mud season gets. Like I heard in Montana in November and October, you just want to be out of the state because it's just like,
I've heard the same.
Yeah. So yeah, that's cool. That's great. I'm so excited for these types of talks. And the next ones are questions you can answer, you can not answer, but it's kind of like, I always like to go into the nitty gritty of what companies do, because I always hear, I have 400 doors, I have 1,000 doors, I have 200 doors. Profitability on companies, we've acquired, I've been in acquisitions where I've seen companies, looked under the hood of companies with 1,000 doors where you're like, wow, they have no systems and they're not very profitable. And I've seen very small companies that are very profitable. So it's like, I think the big thing is everyone used to always ask, how many doors do you have? And
right.
It would be like, oh my gosh, you have 2,000 doors. Wow, you must be amazing. Well, you might have 2,000 doors and be losing 100 a month. You might have bought all those doors. You might have a $5 million debt in it. What I think is more important is, what is your average revenue per door? How are your doors doing? Like, what is going on? So for your company, about what is your average rent that you're getting? Because it's very different if your rent's 500 versus 4,000.
Right. So, and as I thought about this, our single family, our property management division, we kind of have our single family model and then our small multifamily model. And the numbers are different on those. And I'm more comfortable in the single family model. Our average rent on there is, right around $1,900 a month. And
okay,
so $1,900 a month. And so we pull from management fees anywhere from about $190 to $210 on average for the management fee. And then on top of that, we have our ancillary revenue and things like that, which usually add in. On our single family, we're closer to about $340 to $360 a month in revenue. Some are a little bit higher depending on some of the services they have, but it's right in that $340 to $360. Something though that I'm seeing is, and once again, why I like to learn from these conferences is our smaller multifamily, you get more doors, but you get squeezed on those doors when it comes to revenue. And you get squeezed on the management fee, the lease up fee, the renewal fee, and our numbers dip, pretty substantially on that. So it's, our revenue on our single family side, I like the trajectory we're on. On our small multifamily, I like them, but I don't love them yet.
And my point is that, like, someone who manages doors that are like 900 rent and they're getting like 120, that's a really big amount that they're getting from the investor, but they work a lot harder at that.
Yeah.
But get doors a lot quicker in places like Ohio or somewhere like that where the average rent's $1,000, because if you're a good property manager, it's really exciting to get a good property manager to manage those doors, but the revenue is down a lot. And then someone who has rents that are like $5,000, if they were getting 190, it's not as big of a deal because it's such a small markup for that owner. So a lot of like what we do should be looked at on the comparison of what our rents are, what we're getting from that, because there's a certain point, would you agree, Brad, that if you take too much from an owner and you're at 1,900 and all of a sudden you're getting 300 a month in door rent, you're not going to have many owners because they're going to start selling.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the balance that you have to look at, is saying, okay, at what point do our owners starting to push back on fees and things like that, where they see the benefit, but they also look at it and say, could we do it a different way? And that's something that I just feel like even in the last year or two, we've received a lot more pressure from owners that are either signing up with us or even existing owners as we renew on questions like that. So I'm really grateful in the industry that we focus more now on profitability, on revenue per door, looking at those opportunities. But I also think while we focus on that, I know that there's people that try to have 70 different fees, outlined with their owners. And I think it's not necessarily trying to have the most fees out there for your owners and tenants, but what are the fees that actually impact your tenants the most and give you the best return, and focus on those and try to make those streams really profitable.
Well, it's very hard as a property manager. Like, I have properties in Indiana, in Utah, California. And my California properties, average rent $3,000. On the 200 and something, let's just take maintenance, let's take everything. Let's just take that my $3,000 property has about $300 a month in maintenance, everything. That's 10%. That's 10%. You don't think twice about it. But my $700 rental in Indiana, if it has $300 a month in fees, that's almost 50%. I'm going to want to get rid of that property because it's just like all of a sudden, and then all of a sudden I add in taxes and I add in insurance and all that. All of a sudden, it's at, is it even just be breaking even? And then it's like, is it a California property that, hey, maybe in 2 years it's going to be worth $100,000 more? Or is it a Utah property where, hey, when California goes up $100,000, and a year or two later we go up $100,000? Or is it Midwest where it's just steady? If it's steady, it costs you too much, you're going to move out of that area.
Yeah, fully agree. And that's the balancing act that I think many owners and operators are facing right now, and I don't think that is going to be going away anytime soon. If anything, as the economy continues to kind of we're all pinching our pennies a little bit, and so we have to look for ways to try to do things better and not necessarily just charge more and more for everything.
Well, that's why I like your talk. The whole point of my whole analysis here was your talk about ancillary revenue. Like, I just got Peter McKenzie talked last year. He spoke at the event, and like he just opened up a cleaning service. Like it's different than his maintenance company, which he also has, but now he's cleaning for short-term rentals for people that want to do it on their own without having the bull crap of dealing with short-term rentals. So
Yep.
and so he's finding different revenue sources from property management. Property management is a great thing. Like I always thought about, the carpet cleaner guy made so much money, and it was a truck and a thing on there, and it was, or the biggest one was locksmith. I mean, the locksmith charges $200-300 every time they change the lock. It takes them 10 minutes. And if we can take, different ideas, and instead of squeezing the owner, which is giving us that door, giving a good percentage of the money, we need to make money off the owner. But then we need to make more money off of ancillary ways that the owner would spend for anyways.
Right. And I think a key question that I think drives this whole conversation is, do we know the problem that problems that we are trying to solve for our owners? I think sometimes we think we know, but are there problems out there that an owner that's been with us for a while says, this is still an issue for me with these rental properties? And if you can find a way to solve problems that create additional value and enhance that relationship between you and an owner, whether that's through an ancillary business or a new system or a new service or switching what you're doing, then once again, that is real value. And so, for example, we are doing fourth quarter interviews this year with all of our owners, and we are having very sincere, and they're going to be even painful at times, interviews with our clients to say, this is where your property's performing, but also here's how we're performing. What are we not doing that you want us to do? And in our PM Systems presentation, we're going to be analyzing some of the results of those surveys and saying, this is why we ask our owners, because they can tell us what we maybe think we know, but maybe a lot of things that we don't know. And we need to be real and raw about that.
That's awesome. Well, I always enjoy having conversations with you. You're an amazing property manager, and even more, you're a good human being. So, I get to see all of your hiking expeditions with your kids and your wife, and all through Utah. You live in paradise, and doing a great job managing there too.
Hey, thanks so much, and I'm looking forward to this event. It's going to be fantastic. So thank you to you and your team for putting on such a value-add event.